Saba stories. Snake on the shoulder. Once upon a time, a kingdom named Jamshid ruled in Iran. Jamshid was a righteous king and people loved him very much. He taught people many arts such as spinning and weaving, farming and animal husbandry, sewing clothes and pottery, and made people's lives much easier. Jamshid gradually became very proud of what he had done. Instead of thanking God for his blessings, he claimed divinity. He asked people to worship him. People were very upset by his behavior and they no longer obeyed him and did not listen to his words. At the same time, a righteous king named Mordas lived in the neighboring country of Iran. Mordas had a son named Zahhak. Zahhak was a very evil man who had 10,000 horses and was very cruel. Zahhak killed his father with a trick and sat on his throne and became the king. One day, they informed Zahhak that the people of Iran were unhappy with their king Jamshid and left him alone. Therefore, Zahhak attacked Iran, and because the people did not follow Jamshid, Jamshid's army was defeated very soon. Zahhak ordered to arrest King Jamshid and kill him. Zahhak was a very cruel man and no one dared to protest. If someone protested, they were imprisoned or killed. One day the devil disguised himself as a beautiful young man and went to Zahhak. He introduced himself as a cook and cooked delicious meals for Zahhak every day. Zahhak eats the cook's food every day. One day, he laughed at the cook and said,
"You cook very delicious food. I will give you whatever you want, because you prepare very delicious food for me."
The young cook said,
"I only ask the king to allow me to kiss their shoulders."
King Zahhak gave him permission. The cook came forward and kissed Zahhak's shoulders. Suddenly he gave a scary laugh and disappeared. The people around Zahhak and Zahhak himself were very surprised by this incident and no one understood how that cook disappeared. The next day, Zahhak felt a very strange pain in his shoulders. Many doctors came to the palace to treat him. Suddenly, the doctors were surprised to see that two small black snakes grew on Zahhak's shoulders from the place of the cook's kiss. The doctors killed the snakes but to no avail. The next day, black and bigger snakes grew on Zahhak's shoulders again. Snakes used to bother Zahhak a lot. Zahhak, who was suffering a lot of pain, had ordered to bring all the doctors from all over the country to the palace to examine and treat him. Zahhak was writhing in pain every day until one day the devil disguised himself as an old doctor and entered the palace. The doctor entered the palace and went to Zahhak and said,
"I know the way to calm these snakes."
Zahhak said,
"Tell me what calms these snakes. How can I get rid of their harassment?"
The old doctor said,
"You should give human brains to snakes twice a day. That is, kill 2 young men every day and feed the snakes with their brains. They calm down and don't bother the king."
Zahhak and those around him were very surprised. Suddenly, the old doctor disappeared again. Zahhak realized that this is the only cure for this pain. So he ordered that the soldiers bring 2 young men to the palace every day and kill them, and the cook brings their brains to the snakes. Years passed and the merciless Zahhak killed 2 Iranian youths every day and gave their brains to snakes. People were very sad to witness the loss of their children and the youth of their country every day. No one dared to disagree, because he would be killed immediately. One night Zahhak had a strange dream. He dreamed that his palace was destroyed by a young Iranian named Iraj. Zahhak, who was very scared and angry, ordered to find that boy. Zahhak's spies and soldiers trampled all over Iran in search of this young boy. Zahhak's soldiers arrested a large number of young Iranians every day and kept them in prisons, and every day they sent 2 young men to the king's kitchen so that the cooks could use their brains to prepare food for the snakes. At that time, 2 cooks named Ermil and Kamil were among the king's cooks. The 2 cooks, who loved young people, took out the brain of a young man every day and mixed it with the brain of a sheep so that the snakes would not notice the taste. Then they would let the other young man run away and send them to Mount Damavand to hide there. In this way, they saved a young person every day. After a while, the fate of Iran changed. Far from the eyes of soldiers and spies, Feridan was born to Abtin and Frank. Since he was a child, Feridan lived secretly with his parents and fed on the milk of a cow named Barmay, which was sacred to Iranians. Zahhak's soldiers finally found Feridan's hideout. Feridan's father let his wife and son run away and fought with Zahhak's soldiers and was finally killed. Frank and his son Feridan went to the mountains and hid there, and Feridan grew up there. The soldiers, who had not reached Feridan, killed the sacred cow. Zahhak, who was disappointed by Feridan's arrest, wrote a letter to introduce himself as the king of justice and introduced himself as a compassionate and righteous king. Then he ordered all the people of Iran to sign that letter. Some people signed the letter because they were afraid of Zahhak. Anyone who did not do this was immediately killed by the agents. One day, a blacksmith named Kaveh went to Zahhak to complain. Kaveh, a hanger, had many sons, but the agents had arrested all his sons to feed their brains to the snakes. Kaveh came to Zahhak and demanded that at least one of his children be released. Zahhak said,
I will release one of your sons on the condition that you also sign this letter.
Kaveh, who was tired of the cruelty of the tyrant, tore up the letter and returned to his blacksmith shop. When Zahhak's agents came to arrest him, he got into a fight with them and other people helped him in the street and the market and defeated the soldiers. When Kaveh saw that other people were also very unhappy, he untied his leather apron from his waist and tied it on the head of the spear and placed it as a flag. People gradually gathered around him. They left the city so that they could prepare a strong army and go to the battle of Zahhak. Among these people, there were 2 cooks of Zahhak palace named Ermil and Kamil. They told Kaveh that every day they saved a young man from death and sent them to Mount Damavand. Now, a large number of those fugitive youths are ready to fight for Iran's freedom. Kamil and Ermil went after the youths and Kaveh went after Feridan. After some time, he found Feridan and asked him to accept the command of the Iranian corps. Feridan and Kaveh went from one city to another and gathered the disaffected people. Little by little, a large army was formed. Feridan and Kaveh troops fought with Zahhak and defeated them after a bloody conflict. The oppressive Zahhak's troops suffered a heavy defeat and Zahhak was also captured. On Feridan's order, they tied Zahhak with steel chains in a cave in Mount Damavand and imprisoned him. Once again, happiness and freedom came to the oppressed people of Iran and they tasted freedom after years of oppression. They chose Feridan, who was an honest and godly man, to be the king. Feridun ruled the people with justice for many years.